All right, today we're tackling a really fascinating topic, AI and the PhD. We're going to look at how this explosion in artificial intelligence is shaking up the very highest levels of academia. And really, it all boils down to this one huge question. Is AI this incredible new tool that's going to supercharge human knowledge? Or is it a crutch that might actually weaken the critical thinking skills that define what an expert is? Let's get into it. So, first up, let's look at where AI is making its biggest and most immediate splash. For anyone who's ever done a PhD, you know the pain of the literature review. It's that massive, foundational, and let's be honest, often grueling first step. And wow, just look at the difference here. The old way could take months of manually digging through papers, always with that nagging feeling that you might have missed something huge. The new way? AI can do it in seconds. It's not just faster, it's more comprehensive and less prone to human blind spots. And look, this isn't some sci-fi fantasy. It is happening right now. There's a whole ecosystem of tools out there. You've got things like Elicit and ResearchRabbit that are literally designed to map out entire fields of study. Then you have your writing assistants like Grammarly, and even really advanced tools like NVivo that can help analyze qualitative data, like finding patterns in interview transcripts. It's amazing. So how does all this work? Well, the magic ingredient is something called natural language processing, or NLP. Basically, it's the tech that teaches computers how to read and understand human language, the nuance, the context, the ideas. It's what lets an AI plow through thousands of dense academic papers in the blink of an eye and actually make sense of it all. Okay, so it's a game changer for literature reviews. But guess what? The impact doesn't stop there. AI is starting to reshape the entire PhD experience, right down to the relationship between a student and their supervisor. Think of AI as a kind of co-pilot for everyone involved. It can give instant feedback on writing drafts, which frees up supervisors from doing basic edits. It can track progress on a dashboard, flagging potential problems before they become big ones. It helps with the heavy lifting of data analysis. And it can even help students with their well-being, which, as anyone who's done a PhD knows, is a huge deal. Now, this is really, really important. The idea here is not to replace the human supervisor. Not at all. It's about augmenting them. By letting the AI handle the more routine, administrative stuff, it frees up that mentor's precious time for the things that really matter, the deep, strategic conversations that shape a brilliant researcher. So, when you lay it all out, the upside looks pretty incredible, right? You cut down on administrative burnout, you get richer academic discussions, more personalized support, and you might even help students feel less isolated and ultimately improve the chances they actually finish the program. But, and you knew there was a but coming, there's a paradox at the very heart of all this incredible efficiency. When you make the hard parts of research easy, do you risk removing the very struggle that creates an expert in the first place? That's the question, isn't it? Is there a hidden cost to making everything so frictionless? Okay, so check this out. There's some actual data on this from a Microsoft study. They found that when people use generative AI, they report that critical thinking takes less effort. And, on the surface, that sounds great, but let's dig into what that really means. This quote really just nails the problem. It's a concept that researchers call cognitive offloading. By automating the routine stuff, you also take away the chance to practice. It's kind of like how nobody can remember phone numbers anymore because we all have them in our phones. If you don't use those mental muscles, they can start to get weak. And this is where it gets really wild. The same study found what they call the confidence effect. It turns out, if you're really confident in your own abilities, you tend to use AI as a tool to argue with, to double-check. You engage more critically. But if your confidence is high in the AI, you're much more likely to just accept what it says without questioning it. That's a huge difference. So, what does this all mean? It means the actual job of a researcher is fundamentally shifting. It's becoming less about producing the material from a blank page and more about being a master editor, a critical integrator who can verify, contextualize, and weave together what the AI generates. And of course, this shift brings up some massive ethical questions. Things like, where is your confidential research data going? At what point does a useful tool become a crutch? And how do we train people to spot the biases and straight-up inaccuracies that these models can sometimes spit out? These are things universities are grappling with right now. Which brings us to our final and maybe the most provocative question of all. If technology is moving this fast, what's the point of a degree that takes 5 to 7 years to finish? Get ready for this one. This is a quote from Jawed Tarifi, who founded Google's very first generative AI team. He says, AI itself is going to be gone by the time you finish a PhD. Now, he doesn't mean AI is going away. He means the version of AI that exists today will be a museum piece by the time you graduate. And this timeline just lays it out so clearly. A PhD works in years. AI development works in months. Entire subfields of AI can be born, mature, and disrupted in the time it takes to complete one doctoral program. The speeds are completely mismatched. So here's the core of the argument. If the cycles of knowledge are getting this short, universities are in real danger of teaching stuff that's already out of date by the time their students walk across the graduation stage. It challenges the whole idea of a PhD as a source of deep, lasting expertise. But here's the twist. Despite that long-term warning, right now, the demand for these experts is absolutely through the roof. Which brings us to this number, 70%. What is that 70%? Well, in 2023, 70% of new AI PhDs blew right past academia and went straight into industry, usually for huge paychecks. This is creating a massive brain drain, pulling the top minds out of universities and into private companies. So, if the technical stuff is always changing, where do you place your bets? This quote kind of sums up the new thinking. It suggests that the real value in the future won't be about having the right credentials, but about developing those uniquely human skills, having a unique point of view, emotional intelligence, and being able to connect with other people. And that leaves us with this one last thing to chew on. In a world full of intelligent machines that can produce knowledge on demand, what does it even mean to be an expert anymore? Is it about knowing things, or is it about knowing what questions to ask? It's something we're all going to have to figure out. Thanks for tuning in.